So good morning, everybody. My name is Tilo Schwarz, and I'm a management trainer and Kata coach. And prior to that, I worked at Festool, which is a German manufacturer of handheld electric power tools, as a plant manager in the plant you can see in the back here. In this plant, we implemented a management system which focused on making continuous improvement part of everybody's daily work. And in doing so, and for doing so, we won 2 Operational Excellence Awards in Germany. We did this by using a concept we now call the Toyota Kata, which I learned about around 2008 when I met Mike Rother, who shared with me his insights on his research on Toyota management. And these insights were finally displayed in a book he brought out in 2009, and which probably some of you know, which we call the Toyota Kata. So what is the Toyota Kata? So for those that are unsatisfied with the impact of their current improvement process, the Toyota Kata is a management system that, unlike other approaches, does not focus on implementing lean solutions, but focuses on increasing problem-solving ability by developing and changing behaviors, and also making people feel comfortable with change and striving for challenges by making continuous improvement an everyday habit. So let's see how this applies to you. First of all, my question is, have you been on the lean journey for quite some years now? And as I assume at this conference, there's a lot, maybe all of you experts regarding lean. And we've all been on the lean journey. So I think it's okay to ask the following 3 questions to ourselves. Are we satisfied with the results? Are results sustainable? And very important, is continuous improvement really getting continuous? So I don't know how you feel about that. But what I experienced at Festool was a situation very similar to the following 3 pictures. When we were striving for continuous improvement and trying to push up the process up the hill, and yes, we found potential, and then came to the moment where we thought, oh well, yes, we did it. Right afterwards, something like this happened. Oh no. So this is how I felt, and I started to investigate with my management team what is behind this. So, and then the picture about our improvement process, similar to what I'm showing now, emerged. Well, what we saw was that we were driving continuous improvement mainly through workshops and a handful of experts. And the problem was that the rest of the organization, including me, was mainly concerned about daily business. And it seemed that there was like even a red fine line between that. So when I went deeper to investigate that, to understand what people were thinking about continuous improvement, things like the following emerged. Well, middle management was saying, well, nice with that improvement, but I need to meet my targets and I get paid for these. And people at process level would say something like, nice work by the experts, but not my idea. Or, well, another workshop coming up, well, great, but we have to work, we don't have time. So in a system like this, you would at least expect that the experts are happy, right? Well, far from it. They were thinking, well, everything regarding lean would work, but they, and they meant us down there, are not keeping the standards. So I was kind of asking myself, well, what are we going to do? Do we need more experts, more workshops? And it took a while for us to understand what really the problem was. And the problem was and is the red line. Because we were more or less saying it's either improvement or daily work. And we came to understand that what we have to strive for is a system where improvement is daily business. So we started out on a journey implementing a process where we aim for that everybody, every day, does a small step of continuous improvement in his or her process so that we can end up at a situation where we can improve every process every day. So now just imagine a company with this process installed, and then you use this process for implementing your strategy and align it towards it. I mean, I don't care how many experts you have, I don't care how many workshops you do. This is a bulldozer. Because let's remember and understand that any strategy is just as good as the ability to implement it. The brilliant strategy does not pay anything if you don't have the ability to implement it. So what do we need to do to implement such a process? Well, to understand this, I would like to share with you a letter from a manager that tragically failed in implementing his strategy. And this letter goes like this. We took risks, we knew we took them, things have come against us, and therefore we have no cause for complaint but to bow to the will of Providence, determined still to do our best to the last. So who wrote this letter? Before I answer the question, isn't it astonishing how similar this letter is to the excuses we usually hear when strategic projects are failing? It's something like, well, it's Providence, things came against us, we can't do anything, but we are determined to do our best till the last. But usually, if things fail, it's not the things coming against us. What's the reason for failing? It's mostly because we're not paying attention to the 3 important factors we need for a successful implementation of a strategy. And as I assume that maybe quite a number of you are engineers like me, I've of course come up with a formula to formulate what you need for success. And the formula goes like this. It says success equals A multiplied M multiplied D. So what's this? Well, you will not be successful unless your team has the ability and the self-motivation to strive for a common direction. So coming back to the letter. The letter was written by Robert Falcon Scott, who led the expedition that reached the South Pole second, and as we all know, tragically ended in the death of all team members. So what was the problem here? Well, it seems like they had a clear direction, South Pole. Obviously, they had tremendous motivation because they endured incredible hardships. So the expedition failed mainly because of the ability of the team, and especially the ability of the team leader. So which ability actually was missing? One core ability that was missing, and that I see missing in many companies, is how we handle problems. So when problems occur, we're kind of pushed to come up with what? With a quick solution, solve it. What we tend to forget is that each problem underneath the waterline, of course, has a cause. And this cause is always residing in a process, which we should understand better. If we did so, we would find out that a group of causes always originates in a root cause pattern. And this is where we apply sustainable solution. It's not on the top addressing directly the problem. So what happened to Scott? Well, one problem they were facing was that the motor sledges that were supposed to transport food to the depots weren't working in Arctic conditions. So which solution did they jump for? Well, skip the motor sledges, transport everything by manpower. What happened? Well, they didn't manage to build up all the depots. They didn't manage to fill up the remaining ones, so the walk to the South Pole was not possible even before starting it. So if he had investigated deeper, what would he have found? Well, first of all, he would have found that, of course, the fuel powering the motor sledges was too thick in the deep temperatures. But that wasn't the real cause. The real cause was in a process prior to the expedition, in the process of preparing the expedition. Because these motor sledges were just assumed to work in Arctic conditions. They've never been tested. And if you look even closer, you will find that the same thing, not preparing properly for expedition and relying on assumption, happened to Scott in a previous expedition, which he had to stop because he didn't prepare properly. So that was the root cause pattern that actually led to the disaster we now know. To give it an even different perspective, why is root cause orientation so important? If we strive for a strategy in any company, we at some point will have to leave what we call the known zone, and we'll have to go beyond our threshold of knowledge where we don't know and don't have solutions anymore. The problem is that we need a totally different behavior on the right side from what we are usually used to do on the left side. Because on the left side, we're used to plan. Why do we plan? A plan is for avoiding obstacles By implementing solutions we know. You do a plan so that nothing goes wrong, right? The problem is on the right side where you don't know yet, and that's why it's a strategy worth striving for, because nobody knows. You can't plan because you don't know. And actually even worse, you don't have to avoid obstacles, you have to find and understand obstacles, because these obstacles are the reason that prevent us from implementing our strategy. So let's see, what did Scott do? Well, what he did is, and what he wrote in his last letter was, had we lived, I should have had a tale to tell of the hardihood, endurance, and courage of my companions, which would have stirred the heart of every Englishman. So what does that mean? He did not only combine solution orientation, didn't only use solution orientation, he combined it with what? With courage. And that's the point where you should get goosebumps. That's really deadly and dangerous. What we really need is root cause orientation. So let's go on. Let's go to direction. Why do we need a clear direction when striving for continuous improvement? Very easy. I believe that improvement will only be continuous and sustainable when always striving for a challenge. Setting and checking standards, which we are very eager about, at best maintains the status quo. Let me explain. Well, usually we manage by exception, which means we implement a standard, actually wait for the process to fall behind. When it falls behind, which we realize in our standard check, we bring it back to what? The defined standard. Is that improvement? At best, we maintain status quo. That's like stepping on the scale after Christmas. Oops, standard deviation. Go on a diet for 2 weeks. Okay, bring the figure back. What happens then? Defocus, weight comes back. And beware, this is a behavior I see in many companies when they use shop floor management. Shop floor management is really good for increasing visibility on the shop floor. The thing then is, how do we react on that? What many companies do is we react only on deviation, jump for the figure that is deviating, bring it back, and then jump to the next. This is amateur work. How do professionals do it? Well, professionals always strive for a challenge. They put the bar to a level they can not yet master. And once they master it, what do? They put it higher. Imagine they would leave it on the same level and just be happy with the height they can master. They will surely fall behind. So that means professionals always strive for a challenge they cannot yet master and therefore continuously improve. That's the key to continuous improvement and sustainability. Amateurs react only in case of deviation and therefore drop behind. So coming back to Scott, well, you would think they had a clear direction, right? Reaching the South Pole. If we investigate this expedition closer, there were 2 more goals equally important. The second was research on breeding behavior of penguins. And they spent a whole sub-expedition losing a lot of material and risking 2 members' lives on researching on penguins. And then there was a third one that was acquiring knowledge about the geological consistency of Antarctica. And Scott insisted on collecting geological material even when the pole team was already in deathly danger. So it looked a little bit like this. But I mean, of course, in 20th century organizations like we have, this traction in directions never happens, I'm pretty sure. So what we need here is something I call the challenge generator. So we need a long-term vision, challenging for the process, inspiring for the people, regularly, like a generator, breaking down into challenges, overarching departments from which then everybody, and then synchronized, can deduct their target conditions. So the challenge generator means get better by consistently striving and constantly striving for the next challenge. Beware here, though. When I talk about this to managers, they say, well, we have it. That's what we call policy deployment. The quality and impact of policy deployment solely depends on the type of targets you're deploying. And most companies just deploy result targets. It's like 20% cost reduction at the top, so everybody gets 20%. That's cool policy deployment, right? Well, that's just deploying result targets. It's like what you did after New Year's. You set a result target, I want to reduce my weight by 10 kg. The problem with these type of targets is they have 3 major drawbacks. Number 1, they call for immediate countermeasures. that are just short term. Go on a diet for 2 weeks, reduce food intake by 50%, and down you go, right? The problem is it's not sustainable because you haven't changed your way of living. Second, once you reach a result target, it gets obsolete. 10 kg down, you focus on something else. You ran your marathon, you trained for half a year, the day after, stop training, right? Third problem, with these goals, they are highly dependent, result goals are highly dependent on external factors you can't influence. For example, after 1 week of diet, you get invited to a wedding, very surprisingly. To not to be unpolite, of course, you dig in at the 5-course dinner, right? And off you go with your weight. Something like, I mean, this is funny, but something like this happened to me in 2008 when, due to economical decline, the order intake of the plant was reduced by 35%. And I had agreed with my department managers on result goals, productivity, costs. You could just forget them. They were unreachable due to order income decline. So very frustrating situation. So what can we do? Let's imagine for a moment we would skip result targets and go for process targets. What would be a process target in this context? Well, a process target would be if you strive for installing a process where you daily, after getting up, do 1 push-up and increase it by +1 every 3 days. What are the advantages? Well, first of all, there's no shortcuts. You either do it or you don't do it. Second, well, this process does not get obsolete once you reach a level of 2 or 3 push-ups. You can go to 4, 5, 6, 7. If you think 25 is enough, add another fitness element. And you can constantly improve your fitness process and will certainly reduce your weight by doing so. And third, even if you go to this wedding and your result target is far off, you can still measure your progress regarding your process target and be motivated and show that you are making progress and continue working. So as Deming said, a numerical goal accomplishes nothing without a method. Only the method is important, not the goal. So let's see, and let's go to motivation now. Well, motivation is a big field, and I'm not even trying to talk completely about it. But one thing has become very important to me in the last years, and that is when we talk about motivation, we often think, well, people are not motivated to go for the idea or target I've given them, so probably we need some enthusiasm here. And we set out in many companies for programs that create enthusiasm. Well, there's a big problem with enthusiasm. Because enthusiasm, for example, for a diet, is 100% depending on success. Success, more enthusiasm. No success, enthusiasm goes down. So what's the problem? The problem is when you need motivation most. That's the point where it gets difficult and things don't work like you expected them to work. Then enthusiasm fails. So what can we do if enthusiasm is not the solution? Let's come back to our process target. Imagine we had this. We would be striving for this process. So 1 push-up, 3 days later, another one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You keep increasing it. So at the point, when we hit the point where it gets difficult, like probably at 20, 25 push-ups, depending on your current fitness level, what has happened? Well, you've repeated this process so often, and it was easy, that it has become what? A habit. So that means you don't hardly need any motivation to do it, and you just, because it's habitual, you keep continuing doing it. So that means, for us, coming back to continuous improvement, makes striving for the challenge and systematic problem solving an everyday habit. A warning here, because when I tell people this, they say, oh, well, yeah, that is going for lean culture, a continuous improvement culture. The culture word comes in. Beware, we cannot make a culture. Culture is an outcome. So then what can we do? Well, first let's understand what culture is. Culture, in organizational context, is the sum of common behaviors within a group of individuals. What does that mean? Well, like, for example, in Germany, there is a common behavior of when you meet, you shake hands. So everybody does it, so it's part of the culture. In Japan, it's not. So that's their culture. But that's just what we call it. The core of it is a certain common behavior. So in order to enable a certain culture, we would need to understand the existing behaviors and then define the desired behaviors. This is why usually cultural journeys and empowerment programs don't work, because they don't care and don't change behaviors. They just make a lot of wind. So what we actually would need to do is we have to define and train the desired behavior patterns until they become a habit with each individual. So now, which habits do we need for continuous improvement? Well, first of all, a warning here. We cannot make an unlimited number of behaviors a habit. And I often see companies that have production systems and method toolboxes about this thick. It's not going to work. Because we cannot establish many different behavior patterns. We have to focus on the vital ones. It's a little bit like in traffic, when we teach our kids. We don't explain to them all the rules and regulations. We just train them the vital ones. What's a vital one? Crossing a street. So then how do you train a vital behavior until it becomes a habit? Well, you cross the street, you show it, right? You cross the street and say to your kid, well, look, and then you say, okay, now you do the same, come. That's not what you're doing, right? So what you do, and that's very important, you reduce professional street crossing to a 5-step pattern. And that goes like this. Stop at the edge of the street, look left, look right, look left, walk. And this is what we need to do. To be able to learn a new behavior and make it a habit, we have to reduce it into a sequence of single steps and train them precisely. This concept is used in many fields. Sports, as you can see here. Cooking, use a cookbook. Music, play scales. And it's also used in martial arts. And training routines in martial arts are called kata. And this is why we call the kata. It's a training routine for making a desired behavior a habit. So if we want a behavior change, we have to code the desired behaviors into a kata and train them. So which behaviors do we need for continuous improvement? Well, we mentioned already 2. What we have to change is from reacting on deviation to striving for a challenge, and from solution orientation to understand root cause. And there's 2 more. One is we usually rely in the unknown on experience and assumption where we would need get the facts, go and see. And we do plan and control implementation where we actually would need quick experiments and validation. And the behaviors you see on the right side, this is what we call the improvement kata. So now the question arises, how do we make this improvement kata a habit? So how can we change the middle here? So what influences behavior in a company, in an organization and team? Well, there's just one answer, and that is management. Let's try that out. If you could please move back your chairs a little bit so that you can circle your right leg. Please do it. I mean it. Yeah. That you could circle. You can stay seated. I have to do it standing. You can wait for me to tip over. Okay. So circle it counterclockwise, please. To the left, that is. To the left. Okay. So that's a team member in the team having a certain behavior. Now management comes in. That's your right hand. Please raise your right hand. Keep circling. Keep circling. And please draw a 3 into the air. What happens to your leg? Right, goes the other way. Well, don't worry, you won't tip over in the break. If you go for a 6, it goes back to counterclockwise, okay? Okay, so what's the message here? Imagine the team leader coming in on Monday saying 3, Tuesday 6, Wednesday 5, Thursday 8. What happens with the behavior in the team? This, right? Imagine, team leader saying 3, department head saying 5, CEO saying 17. What's going to happen with the behavior in the organization? This. No wonder we don't have a consistent culture in companies. So now what can we do to make the improvement kata target-oriented, striving for a challenge, fact-based, root cause-oriented, quick validation, a habit? Well, we have to establish a consistent management pattern, which means a management pattern that is used on every level in the organization in the same way on a daily basis. And this would slowly change the behaviors we have into the behaviors we desire. So then, what is this management pattern that makes continuous improvement a habit? Well, first of all, we need to understand what is a management pattern. To understand this, question to you, who did not brush his or her teeth this morning? Please, show of hands. Okay, just one occasion. Okay, thanks. This has never happened before. Whenever I ask this question, there's nobody, so thank you for the exception here. Outlier number one. Well, that's interesting. You know why? Because brushing your teeth is a routine that has become a habit for you weren't born with. Because kids are not born with the natural tendency of brushing their teeth. They don't even have teeth, right? So what happened? Well, in your younger years, you had a manager that applied a management pattern. What was the management pattern? It was a question. What was the question? Did you brush your teeth? Right? You got this question at least twice a day. So management parents are question parents that support and request a certain way of behavior. And how strong is this? Now it's going to get a little bit spooky. If you apply these kind of patterns, see what happens. Your way of thinking changes. Your way of feeling changes. I'm going to prove it to you. Just imagine, you're not going to brush your teeth tonight. You don't brush them tomorrow. And then you go out for the meetings you have that day. Just imagine it for a second. How do you feel? Unclean, huh? Not so nice, not so nice. Well, see, this is a feeling you weren't born with. Because kids, when they're born, they don't know what Colgate or the toothpaste you're using tastes like. So that was a feeling and a way of thinking that was introduced by applying a management pattern. That's how strong they are. So now let's see. If we want to make the Improvement Kata a habit, and we said the Improvement Kata has the following behaviors. Always strive for a challenge, go see, get the facts, understand root cause, validate quickly by experiment. Which questions would you ask? Very easy. Question number one, what is the target condition? We always want to strive for a challenge. We don't want arbitrary change and idea management. Question two, what is the actual condition now? Oh, we need to go and see, get the facts. Question three, which obstacles are you addressing now and what exactly is the problem? Please focus and find the root cause. Don't go for quick solutions. Arctic expedition will fail. Question four, what is therefore your next step and what do you expect? Please do an experiment, scientific experiment. Just one next step and please be quick. When can we go and see what we have learned from taking that step? And this management pattern is what we call the coaching kata, and it's the corresponding management pattern to deliberately train improvement kata on the job. So now imagine an organization where every manager on every level applies this management pattern on a daily basis to his or her direct reports. You can really feel how behaviors are slowly developing in the way we are desiring for making continuous improvement part of our daily work. So that means any strategy is just as good as the ability to implement it. Therefore, make striving for a challenge and systematic problem solving an everyday habit. And you do so by applying the coaching kata on every management level every day. Thank you very much.